Sure. If you're at the regular meeting for North Bend School District, it is Thursday, January the 4th. Got a call to order. Next, we got the flag pledge. Flag is to my left. We can stand. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call. I think the board's at full team here. We got Dallas Patton, Julie Thies, Carol Yardley, Jim Jordan, Nathan McClintock, Michelle Roberts. Who are you at the end? Mary Schilling. All right. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Yes, I'll put a motion to approve it.
There's a motion. There's a second. Any discussion? None. We'll have a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Agenda is approved 7-0. Item 3, board appreciation.
The month of January is the month that we say thank you to the work of board members all across the state of Oregon. And so you will see various items. You always have a chance to take a look at cards that were produced by kids and a poster, and we invited schools to if they wanted to, because it was kind of late in the process, because our board meeting, of course, is the first Thursday of the month. So we were connecting with schools at the end of December to try to see if they might want to volunteer to do that, and don't you love the work? I just want to say that we all appreciate your work. It's voluntary, and you have made sure it stayed voluntary by your own vote, and knowing that you could do something about that. And the time that you spend, your heart for kids, your focus on the school and our community and where our kids are and where we want them to be is really is something that I personally appreciate so much. And I know that our kids appreciated that you have an impact on our kids and we in this community, and the legacy that you leave as a board member is a legacy that lasts for generations. And so thank you so much. And I would, with permission, open the floor to see if anybody else would like to say something about our group. I know no one prepared to say specifically.
All right.
So I'm particularly appreciative of this board for, well, a lot of reasons. I've got many of you as parents of kids that I've wanted to be amazing parents first. And I think that's really the foundation of any board member. But I really appreciate the way that this board is working together and collaborating. I know that there have been challenging times in the past, differing opinions. And there are differing opinions on the board right now, but there appears to be a genuine respect for one another and a willingness to focus on the kids that I think has just transformed a lot of the tone and the culture in our district, the feelings that teachers have, and it's really brought us out of a place of frustration over the last few years with a lot of what's been going on around the state and the nation, and even in our own community. I appreciate each and every one of you and your willingness to collaborate with one another, to look for the good in the staff here, even at times when we make it hard to look for good. I make mistakes. I appreciate the patience. Thank you very much for your service.
It's nice to be appreciated.
I second what Daryl says. Thank you.
I third.
And I want to say thank you for the support that we see in the schools, not just seeing you here. And I can speak to the band choir concert. It was really fun to get to greet a lot of you as you were coming in. And thank you for coming to the other activities and not just the board stuff, but really being a part of our community.
We also have some shirts for you guys and this sign.
Nice.
So I think we'll just give you the shirts, but there's different sizes. So After the board meeting, we'll just give you those.
Thank you, Taylor.
You like to show people in the shows?
You wanna come up here so you want camera out?
I took a photo of it.
The camera's working.
All right.
Okay.
Hey, stand up there, hold it, hold it.
Go back.
Hold it. And we'll get some of the school board members, all right, and there we go. One more. And one more. Thank you.
No, you're good. You're good. You're
Thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank everyone that made a positive comment. Remember, we don't tip to the very end.
In that case, Hillcrest does have an announcement. No. On behalf of Hillcrest staff, our students, when we ask them to help out with the poster, you can't see this on the front there. They don't really understand the time and energy that you put in. It's very kind of an arbitrary sort of thing. But if you ask kids to use paint to draw and do thumbprints for a picture, they were all in. So everybody had a great time trying to recognize you today. So on behalf of Hillcrest, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much for that.
You're very welcome.
Hey, item 4, public participation. We do have one. The board welcomes comments and questions from the public. If you wish to address the board, please fill out a public participation sheet available at the table and give it to the board secretary. We ask that you limit your comments to 3 minutes. If more than one person will be addressing the same topic, we ask that you appoint a spokesperson to speak to the group. Speakers may offer objective criticism of school operations and programs, but the board will not hear comments regarding individual school personnel. Okay, with that, we have Ricky McDonald. And Ricky, you can come up or speak from back there, whatever. Resident paying Coos Bay School District taxes.
So I was here a year ago to bring this to the board's attention that there are 47 residences in North Bend who are paying Coos Bay School District taxes. And this was a mistake that happened years ago, but as far as we know, the only way to remedy this is through legal action. As from what I know from last year, there was a process started, but COVID stalled everything. At this point, though, I wanted to bring it again to the board's attention because we're expecting more homes to be built in our neighborhood, and over the next 10 years or so, probably upwards of 100 homes are going to be built in North Bend. Coos Bay is not building as many new residences, but this is potential lost revenue that is going to be pretty significant over the next few years. So it would be nice if I could pay my taxes to the schools that my kids are attending, but for the future generations, this is going to be a big impact. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Ricky, thank you for bringing that up again. Appreciate that.
I know that in my hours with Kevin and during the transition, one of the things that he mentioned was that we didn't have a really enough time for me to be truly brought up to speed. So all I have is kind of the knowledge that this situation exists and that there was something that had begun to try to make that happen. But beyond that, I have to admit that I just don't have a lot of what I would consider current information, but I think it makes a whole lot of sense that if they're living in North Bend, they should be a part of our school district that whatever needs to be taken care of from a legal perspective should be taken care of. So I think thanks for bringing that back up again, and so I will kind of dive into that a little bit with Tim. If you and I can kind of dive into that, you'll bring me up to speed on that and see where we can go with that. So if there's something that we can fix, like to fix it, and especially if it's gonna benefit our schools.
Where's the neighborhood located?
They're scattered throughout North Bend, but the largest chunk is gonna be near Airport Heights,
So down Channel Street area.
south of Virginia.
There's, I know that like where I live right now, I mean, I'm a 9 iron away from the Coos Bay line. And that there are homes, the line runs, kind of just on Crocker Street, right through there, or right off Crocker Street. And so that there's part of that is that the homes that are being built just sort of on the North Bend side of that line. But that's where I get fuzzy for me right there, because I know that's kind of where that's.
Is the address North Bend?
Yes, it was, so the county assessor explained that, the border change was supposed to happen with the North Bend School District. It should have been, the application should have been made to the state by a certain date, and that didn't happen. So it automatically stayed with, it was considered county property. So it stayed with Coos Bay School District. And now, because we passed that deadline, the only way to fix it is if North Bend files suit or does negotiation with Coos Bay School District. That's according to the county assessor, so.
Your kids attend North Bend?
We have the option to go, Coos Bay also will accept us, but we bought the house wanting to go to North Bend School. And we are in the North Bend boundary, so we assumed that we would also pay the taxes, but we're not paying the taxes.
Thank you for your loyalty.
Well, yeah, it's a really, the taxes we pay for schools. Correct me if I'm wrong, generally, most all of it goes to the state, which then divvies it out to, based upon the number of students in a given school district. I mean, am I wrong there?
It's based on, is it FTE that it's based on?
There's a combination of both. There, we do have local tax revenues. I mean, there are, generally speaking, you're absolutely right. Okay, so people pay their taxes, goes to the state, gets stated out. Of course, working for city, city gets a part of that. And so on and so forth. I think though there are pieces that would in essence benefit us. In terms of what our particular tax base is, and how it impacts us. It's not a giant chunk. It's not going to make from a financial standpoint, a huge difference, but it does make sense.
Yeah, and if it's.
But it may benefit
You do what you do.
I'd say it may benefit the constituents, because doesn't Coos Bay have a very large bond out there that they're paying on?
Yeah.
So that would fall off of their.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah.
Ricky, go ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I can't vote for you guys. I can't vote for any measures. It doesn't.
Oh, okay.
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 Okay. Needs to be fair.
Yes.
Hey, thank you for that. Hey, agenda item 5, Advanced Health. Want to thank them for a donation of $5,000 to each North Bend school to help support youth at risk. That's a $20,000 total value. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Agenda item 6, communications. 6A, board reports and communication. Okay. 6B, student representatives to the board, Taylor and Sophia.
I have a deja vu right now. Okay, one sec, we gotta pull up the thingy. Or I guess I do.
Yeah. You can go first.
On December 8th and 9th, we held the 37th annual Coast Classic Wrestling Tournament. We had over 750 wrestlers and 43 teams. Overall, it was a great success. That event, according to the Good Coos Bay North Bend Visitor Bureau, brings in about $750,000 to our community.
Band and choir performed at the Egyptian Theater. The concert was very well attended. Thanks to all of our participants and our directors for making it a great concert.
Both our boys and girls basketball teams played in a tournament over the break in Newport. Our boys finished in second place and our girls were fourth. This weekend, they are both playing in part of the Sky M versus Skyline crossover tournament. The girls play tomorrow night at Phoenix High School and the boys play on Saturday at our middle school. Games start on Saturday at 10 a.m. The varsity's boys play at 1 o'clock. Next Friday, we host Marshfield in the first game of the Sky M League play.
Why are the boys' basketball games being played at the middle school, you might be wondering? Well, on Saturday, we will host a youth wrestling tournament in our high school gym. This is a qualifying event for club wrestlers to make it to state meet held later this year. Wrestling starts at 9 a.m. and should get over around 6 p.m.
Our ASB is currently planning on hosting a winter ball dance on January 29th.
Our swimming team is having a great year in part because we are getting to practice in a nice warm facility since our pool is back in operation. Ironically, Marshfield has also been practicing in our pool because of some issues going on at Mingus Pool. Our swimmers will be traveling to Cottage Grove next week for a meet and then be hosting the district meet in February.
Our boys and girls golf teams both received donations of $3,500 from Bandon Dunes that they will be able to use this season for equipment, supplies, and travel expenses.
Our drama production of A Charlie Brown Christmas was very successful this fall. We had a great attendance for the shows. Nice job by all of our drama students and Mrs. Marchant.
Before the break, we had a school-wide assembly where our band and choir performed. We had some class competitions and we handed out some gifts to those lucky students whose names were pulled out of a box at random.
On Tuesday, our administration met with the seniors.
Okay, our joke of the month, because we missed last month. Why do seagulls fly over the ocean? Because if they flew over the bay, we'd call them bagels.
That's a good one.
And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you both. Moving on. Item 6C, Association Reports, North Bend Education Association Report. Eva Varga.
Well, it's good to be back here, I just have to say. And yeah, thank you. It hasn't been too very long, since someone from the union was making a presentation, so, I just prepared my, my words to recognize your time as a part of the School Board Recognition Month, but I had this all prepared and then everybody, anyway, I saved it. I could have stood up, but anyways, what I was gonna read. So, on behalf of the certified staff, I would like to take this opportunity to express our gratitude for your commitment and dedication to our students and the education system. Your efforts in ensuring the smooth functioning of our schools have not gone unnoticed, and we are grateful for your support. Your decision-making has played a pivotal role in shaping the future of our schools and the education of our children in our community. Your willingness to listen to the concerns and suggestions of teachers, parents, and students alike is a testament to your desire to create a nurturing learning environment. Your support for professional development opportunities and resources has empowered us to provide the best possible education for our students. So we want to acknowledge the many hours that you have dedicated to our school system and the sacrifices that you have all made to ensure that every child receives a quality education. Your commitment to accountability and transparency has fostered a sense of trust and collaboration amongst all the stakeholders. So we're fortunate to have such a dedicated group of individuals serving on our school board, and we want to express our heartfelt appreciation for your service. So thank you so very much. Yes, she is home. She's moved home and getting better day by day. So, but you know, it's a process, and our lawyer said don't talk about it much. So talk to me later. No.
Thank you. 6D, Human Resources Report, Tim Craig.
I was
we haven't had a chance to really give you any updates on human resources, so. Since it suggested we kind of give you an update, so I wrote out a paper that you should have in your packet. That kind of really gets a little bit more in depth, but. As you know, human resources is focused on the recruitment, selection, retention, classification, and compensation systems. Benefits administration, regulatory compliance, employee labor relations, district-wide trainings, personnel policy development, administration and updates, and personnel records management. So there's quite a bit going on in our HR department. That is one of the departments that I to oversee. So one of the things I wanted to give you an update on was House Bill 4030. And this was our educator retention and recruitment grant. And that was a 1-year grant that we had last school year. And when we wrote our plan, we wanted to address sort of some of our highly specialized positions and high needs positions in areas where we were experiencing workforce shortages. We wanted to build on the existing efforts, which address the root causes of our workforce shortages and attrition issues. We put together a series of stipends for staff. We had a rural school stipend for North Bay Elementary School for all staff because we were experiencing a high level of turnover out there. We had stipends for CPI certification, that's the Crisis Prevention Institute, and that really targeted a group of employees that work with some of our students experiencing, behavioral challenges or had some, different types of special education needs. So it really addressed that workforce, which often, they don't get the recognition they deserve. And also stipends for collaborative problem solving, which is really focused on, creating a positive school-wide culture. So multiple stipends went to many staff members. And we also wanted to kind of put together a system that would help address some long-term goals as well. And that was really focused on retention, of our current talented staff members that we have. And part of that was putting our HR specialist too, Michelle Cook, through a certification program. So we were very proud of Michelle, so I wanted to acknowledge that here. Hopefully she's not watching this, otherwise she will throw something at me tomorrow for sharing this. But through the American Association of School Personnel Administrators, Michelle was awarded the Executive Human Capital Leaders in Education certification. So she was one of 14 individuals across the nation who earned this as part of the very first cohort in the nation to receive this. So we're very proud of her. And that was part of her professional development plan to, again, sort of, strengthen our systems, our own internal systems to really try to recruit and retain our staff members and train them as well. Any questions around that grant? I just wanted to make sure she got her recognition that she deserved. Our sub-staffing issues have been something we've been focused on throughout the year. This is something that we hear frequently. Finding substitutes is hard, and it's not just here, it's across the state. So we've really amped up our efforts there in recruiting our substitutes, and anytime that there are interviews held, the people interviewing are encouraged to join our sub pool to kind of get experience in different roles within our district, so they can also learn about these different positions and find their interests. Bruce and Dana, I know, are holding weekly interviews if the people are there to try to get them into the sub pool, which is increasing the pool, right? I mean, we're starting to see some changes there. And so I included some numbers there so you can see that the fill rates for teacher absences have increased by about 6% over the past 2 years. So we're currently at about a 93% fill rate for teachers this school year across the board. Educational assistants are much harder to fill. I mean, it's just really hard, for that wage for someone to be able to take a sub job and have it just kind of be, hit or miss whether or not there's an opening. I mean, there's always openings, but they just seem to be really hard positions to fill. So you can see there, though, we've gone from 19% to 31% fill rate. Which is really a fantastic number, because usually in the classified union, when a substitute's not there, you know, that work falls on the other classified staff members, and it's just that much harder for them to do their jobs too. So we're really trying to make some efforts there. Give you some numbers there on staffing, you know, certified staff, about 131 FTE, that's full-time employees. So if there's more people than there are that, but if we just looked at the full-time numbers, that's how many there are. Classified 124, confidential 7.5, and admin 16.5. This year, we had 36 newly hired employees. So these are not people that were current employees taking new positions. There's new people to our district. Since July 1st up until just a few weeks ago. So last year we had 50 throughout the entire year. And current open positions are listed there too. Paid leave Oregon was new to our school districts this year, new to the state. We chose American Fidelity to oversee this program for us. So far, we've had 15 claims that have been approved, 10 are in process, and 3 have been denied. And this is all done through American Fidelity. So, and this allows employees to take up to 12 weeks paid time off in a 52-week period. So that is the effect of that so far on our district. That's about it for the HR update, unless you had any questions.
Hey, quick question. Coaching positions.
Yes.
Which ones are open? That really has an effect on, you know, kids. Obviously, you can't compete because you're not coaches.
It does. I would have to look. Mike Forster does an excellent job of filling these positions, but there's generally always something posted.
Okay.
I think we might have maybe assistant basketball posted right now for sure.
Okay.
And one of the things that we've been talking about since Vince came on board is how do we open this up for classified staff? Typically only certified staff members have been able to take on the coaching positions. And so we're trying to find ways where we can offer this to classified staff in a way that doesn't, impact our programs in a negative way, which is just another added benefit for our classified staff members. So we are working on some language around that to add to the classified contract as well.
That's good, yes.
Thanks for the data.
Yep.
Okay, 6E Superintendent Report, Vince Swaggerty.
So I, of course, wrote my report. I just want to say, though, with all that I wrote, I just really appreciated. I had an amazing time the weeks leading up to the Christmas break. The programs at all of the schools were just amazing and fun, great to be at. The concerts. Taylor doesn't mention that he's a percussionist and he does a really fine job. They've already headed out, so I didn't get to thank him for that, but they were just a lot of fun. The week before the break was the busiest week that I've had in years. Bouncing from one to the other, and then a game, and then just everything. It all happened that week, and I had a blast. I just had a blast. It was just a lot of fun. I'm glad I don't have to try to do that every week. But that was an amazing week. A couple of things that I want to share that are after, obviously, I wrote this. One of them, we're in the process at the high school right now. We had a situation with a sewer line that kind of disintegrated underneath the main office in that building. So we had cleanup work done. There was still some odor, although it wasn't the odor that you're thinking, that we went out and took a look, took a smell today. But there's also another line, a water line that's leaking and has issues. And so please don't be surprised. By the end of the day, you realize that we've got to take people out of some offices. We've got to wipe out a whole bunch of stuff in there and cut through concrete and get down to where there's some lines. And so just to give you a heads up, Okay, all those things were determined literally this afternoon. And so we're on top of that, we'll be trying to make that work. And we appreciate everyone to help us get to a point where we can figure that out. It may give us the opportunity to do some construction reconfiguration in that area, to do some things that might be better than they are right now. So it could have a silver lining in that cloud. The other thing I wanted to mention was, some of you may know that have may kept track of the news this morning in Iowa. There was one of the school shootings. And I didn't even realize it until later in the afternoon. And I found out, quite frankly, when KCBY reporter was trying to make contact with me regarding school safety and what we're doing and you know, whether or not we try to beef up any kind of security on a day like today. And like I said, we really didn't even know until it was long since news and so on and so forth. We have had the swatting incidents that have happened. We didn't get the email, that Tuesday got an email on swatting email talking about bombs and Bandon received that and Brookings received that, the airport received those emails. A few days later, we had a situation in which when the body was discovered by the dairy and the investigation began with the homicide investigation, that one of our local daycare providers had seen something online and they went into lockdown because of an active shooter sort of situation. And we found out from one of our staff who was a parent who had a child at that daycare. And so we went into information mode to try to figure out whether or not there indeed was some kind of a shooter out there. And there wasn't. We worked very quickly with the North Bend Police Department. They got right on top of it. They went to talk to that person. We were talking with all the schools. We worked with Paul and the swatting incident, and ESD, the superintendents were all talking with each other. So we're trying to be very diligent. What we've had an opportunity to do is we've instituted some communication systems internally so that if something is happening, that we've got a way to communicate with each other. We've tested those because we've had opportunities to test the protocols that we've established and we've had good communication, good success. We also are, like we were talking today, Joe and the district are working on continuing the card locks and adding those into all of the buildings and the ability that we have to increase that. We've increased fencing in places where we need fencing to be increased. We have an SRO. A lot of school districts don't have an SRO, so we still have, we have Officer Parkhurst, and he serves us very well. Our relationship with the PD is strong. So whenever we need information, they're able to help us and so we feel like we work really closely with them. So I think if a reporter calls you and says, "What are we doing?" You can say, we're trying to be diligent, we're trying to be smart, we're trying to understand what real threats are and what threats do not exist. The ones that are fake and the ones that can be real. But by the same token, the sad part is we know that all it takes is one person with a weapon that walks up to a space and you just don't know then what's going to happen. And so we're doing what we can, what we feel like we can do to improve our security consistently. But also to have communication systems in place so that if we are in a situation like that, or a situation similar to that, that we're ready as we can be to try to keep kids and staff and people safe.
Okay, thank you, Vince. Next agenda item 7, action consent agenda items. Is there a motion to approve the action consent agenda?
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve it.
Is there a second?
I'll second
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the action consent agenda item. Is there any discussion? None. We will now vote. All in favor? Aye. Say aye. 7-0, Michelle. Okay. Next agenda item 8, superintendent contract, an action item. I've got this one. Little background. The current interim superintendent contract contains a contractual obligation to evaluate the interim superintendent by January 15th, 2024, but notify the interim superintendent by February 1st, 2024, of the board's intention regarding a permanent 3-year contract. The superintendent evaluation was conducted earlier this evening in an executive session. A high-level summary of the evaluation is as follows. The board evaluated the interim superintendent utilizing 4 of COSA's performance standards and the 2 board goals developed in August 2023. The summary of the board's evaluation is that the interim superintendent received performance ratings of both effective and accomplished with respect to his efforts and accomplishments in these areas. So it's a very good evaluation. The board's now going to discuss the proposed permanent 3-year contract and then vote on the 3-year permanent contract. The board has received a proposed contract that was developed by our school board attorneys, Garrett, Heeman, and Robertson, GHR, and Paul DeCopolis, our school board attorney, developed the contract with input from the board chair after consultation with Vince. And a couple of the highlights are on the term, the intent was to provide the superintendent with as much security as possible in a 3-year maximum contract. It's going to run from July 2024 through June 30th, 2027. Language has been included to create a rolling 3-year contract. And essentially that is the contract can be extended after each year for 1 additional year. And the extension is dependent on a satisfactory evaluation of the superintendent and is at the discretion of the board. The permanent contract will commence July 1st, 2024. The compensation, a comparison of superintendent salaries was performed by Randy Schild of RS2 Educational Consulting. Data from this comparison was considered in the development of the new 3-year permanent contract. And it includes an annual salary of $175,000, a tax sheltered annuity of $1,000 per month, travel allowance of $500 per month, and an annual technology stipend of $1,200 per year. And our intent of this package was to achieve a midpoint of our peer group from the salary comparison. So some of those school districts were larger than ours and some of them were smaller and we were in the middle. So with that, I open to discussion any comments the board may have on the proposed contract.
Say it looks like an appropriate one. It's consistent with, other kinds of contracts I've seen, and in terms of compensation, it's appropriate for position. I like the fact that we've got an analysis which shows, the higher and the lower, and we're somewhere, our proposal is somewhere in the middle. And it seems like a reasonable situation, and I'm for it. I think it makes sense, and appropriate time to make a motion unless somebody else does.
Thank you. Thanks for the feedback. Anybody else?
I agree.
Okay.
Can I make a motion? Is there no?
I'll make what you
Go
said.
ahead.
I got a motion. I move to approve the proposed 3-year permanent superintendent contract for Vince Swaggerty.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Prior to the vote? Okay, all in favor of the motion to approve the proposed 3-year permanent superintendent contract for Vince Swaggerty, say aye. Aye. 7-0. Nothing says it like 7-0. Vince.
I just want to say thank you so much. It's a pleasure to come before you because of this group over here. It's, and this group over here. So thank you all. Thank you. And thank you. This is amazing.
I want to thank you for all of everything that you've done and the culture, and you're a pleasure to work with.
I was going to save this to the end, board comments, but I'll say it now. But speaking as a board member, I would like to thank you for the management style you have and the climate and culture you are developing within the schools, the district officers, and with the help of all these administrators and union folks that we have here. So it is noticed. So really thank you for that.
I appreciate the cooperation between you and the staff and the positive foundation that you're laying to go in a positive direction. I really appreciate it. From all of you.
Done a lot in 6 months.
Yeah.
God knows what you can do the next year.
Oh.
And I'll say, coming from higher education and knowing the difficulties of working with different employee groups, the working meeting that we had to see all the buy-in. I was telling these guys, that's a leadership style to get people to buy in that way, and the passion that was coming from the folks on this side was good. And so that's speaks a lot to how you.
You know, you can. I've come from a background in coaching. I've coached teams that were overs, over 12, over whatever. And I coached teams that have won big championships. And I'm the same coach, right? But what I'm getting at is that you've got to have a great team. And it's easy to lead a great team. And I'm just gonna deflect all of that, because I could be who I am and I could have a team that was inexperienced or cantankerous or whatever it was, and it's hard to be successful unless you actually have the players to get the job done. And this is a championship group of players over here, and so part of what I'm just trying to do is stay out of their way and breathe some life into what they do and let them do their thing, because they are really good. So thank you, but thank you. You're the reason why it's working.
I think we'd all like to give a thanks to everyone.
Yes.
Because it's not an easy job.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Plus you probably hear an occasional negative comment.
Can't make everybody happy.
Yeah.
All right, thank you for that. Agenda item 9, ESD local service plan, Paul Bennett and an accomplice.
Good evening.
Evening, Paul.
Congratulations, Superintendent Swaggerty. I will pile on a little bit and just say I appreciated very much Vince's contributions, and he's a leader among the superintendents group when we get together too. So appreciate that very much. And it's been a real pleasure to get to work with you. So thank you. My name is Paul Peterson, the superintendent of South Coast ESD. And on behalf of the board of directors of South Coast ESD, thank you for inviting me to join you this evening. With me is board chair, John Buckley. And we're here to provide a brief description of the local service plan process and answer your questions related to the local service plan of the ESD, which is on your agenda tonight. As an overview, every year the local service plan, or LSP, gets reviewed and approved by the regional superintendents, then the ESD board, and then the boards of each of the 10 school districts within South Coast ESD's area, which ranges from Reedsport in the north to Brookings in the south. The local service plan on your agenda tonight is unchanged from the LSP you approved last year. This plan was reviewed by the area's 10 school district superintendents this fall, and they voted to approve the plan on December 14th. The South Coast ESD Board of Directors also voted unanimously to approve this plan at their December meeting. This LSP is designed to provide the maximum flexibility to each district in how they want to use their ESD resolution dollars, and that each district chooses from a menu of services what they need from the ESD. We call those tier 2 services. Altogether, tier 2 services comprise about 95% of the ESD's resolution dollars, with just about 5% in tier 1, or what we sometimes call core services that benefit all 10 districts. Those tier 1 services include homeschool registration, audiology testing, birth to 3 evaluations, and the Safe Schools program. South Coast ESD is proud to partner with the North Bend School District to help deliver the highest quality programs and services for students in a cost-effective manner. And I'm happy to address any questions you may have and to follow up with Superintendent Swaggerty with any additional information. Any questions about the LSP process or the local service plan itself?
Estimated budget?
30 some million.
Okay, for you, and then our portion of that?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have that number.
Okay, that's.
Yeah. I'll have Superintendent Swaggerty send it to you.
Is it working well?
Yeah.
Is our function, is it productive? Are we seeing results?
I believe we are.
Okay.
You know, yeah. When Superintendent Swaggerty was mentioning that news from today, as he was saying it, that's how I was learning about it. I didn't know about that. But it brought to mind one of the services that we do have that is it's unfortunate that we have to have it, but it's a very effective one. And we have actually 2 grants that we administer, school safety and prevention system, as well as school safety and emergency management. One of those is, for example, for planning for how to plan for, natural disasters or major acts of violence and that kind of thing. And the other one is for how to respond after those things happen. And I could tell you that on Sunday night, as I was driving, I happened to be down by Agnes, and I was driving up, and one of our 10 districts called, and they had some kids and a family in crisis. And that superintendent was able to make one phone call, and we were able to activate a response team to go help multiple families get through some devastating crisis. So from that aspect, I think we have lots of effective programs, and there's just one example that comes to mind.
I did want to say that, I'm new back here, have been here as a principal a few years ago. And I have appreciated working with the ESD in the 6 months that I've been back. I think under Paul's leadership, his desire is to serve districts and to work with districts. And so I appreciated the contract that we developed to have training for our life skills program. We're working with them to make that happen. So in my opinion, I think it is working. It's working. I used to work in an ESD. I know it's hard work trying to balance the needs of, in this case, 10 different school districts and try to serve each one of them in a way that's customized. And so I think Paul and the ESD staff are doing a great job. I do not appreciate that he stole one of my science teachers, but there is that. Every once in a while, that kind of thing will happen. But I would recommend that the board approve the local search.
Can I excuse my ignorance, I'm just trying to understand how we work together. So like life skills, are they paid through ESD? Are they separate from the North Bend School District then?
You run your own life skills programs, and we have somebody who has been doing some coaching, some training,
Okay, so
professional development.
It's professional development.
Yeah.
They're not.
Right.
We do infiltrated. We actually do operate several classrooms in the region where it's our staff, our resources, operating and running that classroom or that program on behalf of the school district. Remember that the ESD is, we are not a compliance organization. We are a support organization and a service organization. I say sort of tongue in cheek sometimes that I work for 2 boards. I've got my 7-member board at the ESD, but I've also got 10 superintendents. So we always look to find the win-wins for everybody and try to deliver with good efficacy and value.
We have 2 different programs, but one program that we actually run that's through them and our online program. Sometimes you hear us say OLP, and that OLP is actually the ESD organizes that, and so they hear the seats and we utilize that. We're also in conversation. I'm not sure that early conversation, our adult transition. We have a house that is an adult transition house for students on IEPs. They're renting a house in North Bend. We've got a few blocks from the place that we actually own a house. So we've begun conversations about whether or not we'd like to combine the programs and utilize one house and have some efficiencies that we can to do with that. And so it's back and forth, and they're a nice group of people, a nice group of professionals to work. Thank you.
I would move to approve the 2024-2025 local service plan in the South Coast. Yes.
I'll second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the 2024-2025 local service plan with South Coast ESD. Any discussion? Okay, with that, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Passes 7-0. Thank you, John Buckley and Paul Peterson. I got your last name wrong. I would like a voucher for an experienced science teacher before you depart.
Will do.
All right.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 10, ESSER 3 electronic card locks and vape sensors. Tim Kreider.
Even before you start, Tim.
Thank you. Appreciate it. So I got 3 things here, they all just go together here. So the agenda items are lined up. So the first action item is the use of ESSER $3 for the expansion of our electric card lock reader systems and installation of vape sensors at the middle school and high school. So earlier this year, I had approached you with Mr. Heeland about using some ESSER money for the esports. Last year, I sought board approval for ESSER dollars for the boiler project at Hillcrest. So anytime we have an individual item that's non-consumable, that's over $5,000, we seek board approval for that in order to apply for what they call a project tag from Oregon Department of Education to use ESSER dollars on that project. So what this action item is essentially giving us the approval to spend ESSER dollars, which end this year, one-time funds, to expand our electronic card lock systems and our vape sensors. And the next action item is actually the quote that gets a little bit more into that. So we'll address that next. We do see the expansion of these card lock readers as sort of the next step in our safety protocols and security of our school systems, facilities. So that was one part of that. And then the vape sensors, vaping is a big issue at the middle school and high school that they're dealing with. And Joe's been looking for some different quotes from different companies, and it's not just a vape sensor that we would go with. It's actually detects marijuana, loud noises that could be something violent happening, or even aggressive talk in the house. So we see this as another level of security for our students.
Does it make a sound, or does it alert the office, or what does it? How does it work?
It alerts the office.
Okay.
And are they tamper proof? Is it something, they're in a box or protected so that students can't just get to them and disable
Yeah.
them? So you end up spending this money over and over again.
Yeah,
Yeah, they're
Right.
supposed to be.
Okay.
they will be tested.
Yeah. That's like real world environment.
Yeah, as long as you don't blow too much smoke at them, they should be fine. No, that's a joke.
Do we need a motion on this? Well, I do have one question. This is in addition to the card locks that we already have, correct?
Correct.
Our buildings already have some, but this is adding to more doors and more card locks. Yeah, okay.
Exactly.
So that money was already spent and approved, and this is for the new,
This is the expansion to
Okay.
kind of complete all of our buildings,
okay.
almost
Closer.
closer.
Closer. Good, all right, thank you.
And I very happily make a motion to move to authorize the district to utilize ESSER III funds to support expansion and installation of access control systems and to install vape sensors in middle and high school student restrooms not to exceed a total of sum of $225,000.
Second that. Jinx.
There's a motion in 2 seconds. Okay, the motion is, I move to authorize the district to utilize ESSER III funds to support expansion installation of access control systems and to install vape sensors in the middle and high school student restrooms not to exceed a total sum of $225,000. Any further discussion? Okay, the vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
7-0, Michelle. Thanks, Tim. Next up, we have Tim with item 11, Convergent Technologies quote.
So Convergent Technologies is the quote for the electronic card lock systems and intrusion detection system integration. So again, that's a major safety goal of the North Bend School District. Convergent Technologies is currently under a Sourcewell contract. So this is an interstate cooperative procurement agreement. So essentially by going with a company like this and using their Sourcewell agreement, we're meeting all the different procurement laws laid out here in Oregon for using them. The price agreement's already been set. So here on this, I've attached a quote, and this goes to your question, Julie. This adds an additional 3 badge readers at Hillcrest, 17 more locations at the high school, 6 more locations at the middle school, and 3 at the North Bay Elementary School, and then further integration into our alarm system. And so because of the dollar amount, anytime we get above that 150,000 range, I want to make sure that we have board approval to spend that money.
Is this going to be kind of a turnkey thing? I mean, I know that probably down the road, there might be more that need to be. Will this finish the project or will there be more?
This is pretty close, but for the main.
It's close, but it's not all
Okay.
exterior doors.
Once that will be done, they'll be basically turnkey, right? There won't be any, like, anything left out where, oh, we got it, and they'll just change order it, you know what I mean? Like-
Oh, for this quote for these
Yeah.
doors, I mean, this is pretty much all the entry locations.
Okay,
Right.
And so,
And, they are doing everything except for wiring and, the actual latch. But they do all the system that makes it
do
work.
they subcontract that out with this bid, or do we have to get a separate bid for that?
We're using internal electrician
Oh, okay, okay,
to do that.
we do have an electrician, Brad Clarendon.
actually forgot that.
Yeah, we'll put him to work.
Intrusion detection, what exactly does that mean?
That's the alarm system.
Okay.
So if somebody breaks in,
Like if the window breaks or door window or something.
So you're installing additional,
yeah, we're expanding and replacing old systems.
So this all integrating into one back-end system that's all
Yeah.
one piece? Is this, so with what you're purchasing here, are you filling up that And it will be additional like hardware or licensing needed for the next upgrade systems, if you guys expand.
The control box only handles so many doors.
Right, that's what I was
And
asking.
so, like, even in this one, there's several control boxes because it
Oh, okay,
only handles so many doors.
Yeah.
okay.
I think the next step after this too is then we can then start focusing on also rekeying our buildings because, you know, there's just. We know there's keys out there, you know, it's hard to collect them all. And so this gives us the ability to know exactly who's entering and exiting buildings. You know, if somebody in the community is using a gym, we can give them a temporary card that's only, you know, can only be used for the time, you know, allotment we set on it. We can turn the cards off if they're lost. And so it really does kind of add that next level of protection that we've needed for a while.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but on the back, I was curious, both grade schools had the exact same things happening. But Hillcrest was 2,200 more. Is it just because of the equipment difference in what's there?
Yeah, we're, at Hillcrest, like, we have more doors, we had to put we exceeded the limit of the control box, so you have to put a piggyback control box in there, so there's gonna be some cost because of that. There's also like in the alarm, well, the alarms will be about the same, I think. But, you know, square footage changes some of that because different, I mean, motion sensors based on how many square feet.
Well, they're all bigger though, so that's what I was confused. I was thinking it'd be more over there.
Is there a motion?
Sure. I move to adopt the resolution 2024-01 for the supplemental budget and to authorize, wrong one? Well, I guess I won't.
You can do that if you want to.
How about I move to accept quote number, yeah, I got it right.
Okay.
I move to accept quote number 111052023-1 from Convergent Technologies for access control systems in the amount of $181,611.
I second that.
Okay, there is a motion and a second. The motion is I move to accept quote number 111052023-1 from Convergent Technologies for access control systems in the amount of $181,611. Any further discussion? Vote. Everyone in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 7-0. Okay, item 12. 2024-01 resolution to adopt supplemental budget. 3 out of 3, Tim.
Alrighty. Carol, did you just want to go for it?
I've got it down.
You do. You're getting really good at this. I appreciate it. So the supplement, this is a resolution to adopt a supplemental budget, which sounds a little scary, but it's not. This is a normal thing that happens in budgets. You know, I would ask you to consider the fact that, you know, a budget is a plan set at one point in time and it can change throughout the year. And as we're doing our budgets, you know, we're projecting where we're going to need money in different categories, different kind of boxes, I would say. And the board is approving and adopting a budget based on a function level. And then, so there's your fund levels, your general fund is what we often talk about. That's our money coming in from the state. Then we have our special revenue fund. So in this supplemental budget, we're talking about our special revenue funds. So these are all grant funds. And in this special revenue fund bucket, we have our ESSER money housed. And we also have, you know, student success, the SIA funds, Student Success Act funds, high school successes in there. So it's all kind of dropped into the special revenue account, and then it's allocated by function into the 1,000s instruction, 2,000 support services, enterprise and community services are 3,000s, and then we have our interfund transfers. In the budget that was adopted, so let me back up a little bit. Last year, we approved ESSER dollars to upgrade the boiler and control systems at Hillcrest. So that project extended into this school year, this current budget. And we essentially knew we were using ESSER funds for that. And they were in the 1,000 instruction function. The money was earmarked by an object code for capital outlay. But it wasn't in the 4,000s facility acquisition and construction function. So according to our accounting practices, we wanted to take it from this 1,000 function and move it into our 4,000 function to meet our guidelines for accounting. So we're not taking away from instruction. This was money already set aside for the boiler project and now for the card lock readers, which you guys just approved. So we're essentially taking the money and moving it out of the instruction bucket, which is ESSER $3, and moving it into facilities acquisition and construction. Is what we're doing, just to be in compliance with our accounting guidelines. So again, with nothing that we've done, you know, we didn't plan something that we're taking away from. We're just simply moving it into the right bucket to complete the payment of that project and then also complete the card lock readers. That's what that is. So, and we posted this. Yep, you did. We posted this in the paper. We followed all of our guidelines.
Danny. Of talking with him ahead of time. So I kind of understand some of this, and I appreciate that, what's going on, because sometimes it takes a little more time to process through the brain. What is it, making my way out of a wet paper bag or something? I don't know. Anyway, I move to adopt resolution 2024-01 for the supplemental budget and authorize the transfer appropriation between function levels in the special revenue funds as follows: from function instruction to facilities, acquisitions, and construction.
There's a motion. Is there a second? 2 seconds. Want somebody? Dallas, you get there?
I think you
So you could have you score it, Michelle.
I don't know. Pretty tie.
The referee in me said,
It's a rush.
There is a motion and a second. And it is, I move to adopt resolution 2024-01 for the supplemental budget and authorize transfer appropriation between function levels in the special revenue funds as follows: from function instruction to facilities acquisition and construction. Any further discussion? Okay, the vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
7-0.
Thank you all. Appreciate you.
Tim, thank you.
Yes.
Okay, item 14. Oh, no, item 13, approval of 2024-2025 draft North Bend School District Calendar. Action item.
right, we had 2 meetings of the calendar committee. And we presented to them a calendar that is essentially the same calendar we're operating with this year. But of course, every year you take the calendar and then you put it on the new calendar year and you find out if it fits or if it doesn't fit or how everything works. We didn't make any major philosophical changes. For example, we're essentially going to Christmas break at about the same time, and we're coming back at about the same time. But you'll notice that next year, because of where January 2nd falls, we're really going to come back the following Monday. So there will be a few days next year after the new year. Not because we're trying to do what Goose Bay is doing, but just because that's kind of where it fit in the calendar. It's weird to have January 2nd be, I think, a Thursday or something like that. Come back for 2 days and do that. But that also means that right before Christmas, that Friday naturally falls a little closer to Christmas than it did this year. This year was the 15th, next year, and it'll be a little bit different than that. What we found out though with our 3 trimesters is that it got to the end of the first trimester and that was right at Thanksgiving. And we were going to be in a situation where we were going to have a Monday and Tuesday, the last 2 days of the trimester, and then we were going to have a grading day be the Monday after Thanksgiving. Which means that we're gonna have to have finals on the last 2 days before Thanksgiving, and we didn't think that was gonna be the best idea. Very distracting, a lot of absenteeism, higher level of absenteeism, although I must admit, this school year, our absenteeism rate in those 2 days was not bad. I was really impressed. We had way more students there this year than we did last year. So what we decided to do is have the end of the trimester be the Friday before Thanksgiving. And then on the Monday of Thanksgiving week, have that be the grading day. And then, and what that would mean though is that kids are not in school all Thanksgiving week. Because Monday would be the grading day, and then we would go ahead and take Tuesday as another day, because it would be really weird to have no school on Monday, school on Tuesday, no school on Wednesday, and then finish Thanksgiving, right? So, so partially, not because if we're doing anything philosophically, partially just the way the calendar fell. The next thing that we wanted to point out was that our middle trimester also was ending right at the state 3A basketball tournament time. And so in discussion, one of the things, well, Christina Geierman said, hey, what do you think about moving the end of that trimester to a week after that? So that there would be less distraction as the high school is doing their finals in the second trimester, and that would be happening on a week where it would be essentially a normal week. Okay, and so the committee agreed to do that, and then it shortened the third trimester a little bit, but the third trimester was also our longest trimester anyway. So it seemed to balance out pretty well. So those are the things that are noteworthy as they compare to the current calendar, but really the beginning of the year, the same kind of a format. The end of our year is going to end at approximately the same time. No major philosophical changes, just adjustments like that we felt like would be best for kids and families.
So there's one more day off for Thanksgiving week, essentially just one day. That Monday is more than what it is, because we already have Wednesday off.
Yeah, you have Wednesday off,
currently,
but
and we already have the grading date on Monday, so if they take Tuesday off, are we bound to a certain amount of days, like are we gonna make it somewhere else, or is there flexibility?
There are the same number of student contact days,
Okay,
which is 174. So whatever was given up was
it was made up somewhere.
was made up, okay? So we didn't lose any student contact days. Contractually, we have met all of our requirements with the staff in terms of the number of days that they have. Our professional development days, our other kinds of days in the calendar are all the same. So, so I think the day that we added, we bought back somewhere else on a Friday that we didn't have something later on, and so we made that work. So there aren't any differences in terms of our student contact time and our staff, the number of days. You will notice though that 2025 is a leap year. And where that has an impact is not so much on the student contact or whatever, but we have 1,200 employees. And so there are what's called board designated days that are non-contract days. And we have to have an extra one of those because the 12-month employees are on a 260-day contract year. That means they come in 260 days in a year. And so when you have an extra day there's these non-contract days so that it kind of all evens out. So there's an extra one of those just because there's a leap year.
It's this year that's a leap year.
2024.
They're on.
It's always on elections.
Whatever it was. No, we did do that. Did I mess that up?
That's okay.
I think I
It
messed
was
it
the
up.
old
Anyway,
thing.
we dealt with it.
Are we?
Trust me. Trust me. We got lots of-
Is there gonna be an actual physical calendar for parents to have in hands? Because I know that technology sometimes I'm just not so good at it, so. Not that I necessarily need an on-hand physical calendar, but I know they're nice to have. I know they're kind of a little bit costly to make, but is there some way that we can have like make one to, you know, like some
I-
sort
I'm
of
gonna-
physical calendar?
Okay, we've talked about this. I'm just gonna make a promise to you. We are gonna have some kind of a small batch of a physical calendar
Okay.
that we were gonna publish. Michelle, we're gonna figure it out. We're gonna
Although
publish it.
my newest request that I just got in my inbox this week is a magnet.
Okay.
Yep,
I got a magnet request.
the little magnets stick on
I
the
know
front.
that games change and weather cancel, you know, things just get, you set all these dates for all this stuff and then. Wackadoodle things happen and things have to change and all of a sudden, you know.
Would a magnet be okay if it had something, or do you really are you stuck on a calendar?
I've been asked to be stuck on the calendar.
We'll
by
make it,
parents.
we'll make a calendar. And like I said, it might be a small batch because.
Yeah.
Just really for the folks who really
Really,
like that.
really
And-
want one.
And so when we're.
Haven't we had them in the past?
Like they
Yeah.
have to have your secret code, Julie. They have to have the secret
The
code to
Julie
get it.
code, 1123.
The ones that we had to pass, when
Code.
when we were talking about it, the art thing, is cool as that is, it also sounds like it became a part of the controversy too, because who's
Wasn't chosen?
who
Oh.
was, who wasn't. It may be something that we do that it's not necessarily kid driven, that way. Unless we were to, I don't know, we'll figure it out. And if
Oh,
it's
God,
just-
yeah,
if
the
it's just
competition side of it.
Well, all the pictures
Feelings get hurt.
that Tracy and Chris take over the, because they go around the door and take a picture, maybe we do it like that, so.
Yeah.
But we'll make sure we'll have some for people who would really like to go there. And we'll build a calendar.
I don't know if this will work for you, but I know in higher education for all the sports, the coaches or the administrative assistants would create calendars for each sport. And they could send that out and you can put that on your phone, right? So if your child is in a sport, they send out the calendar, you know, when the games are happening and where they're at.
Bulldogsports.org.
Yes.
And
That's what I
And
mean.
so,
like,
yeah, so
technology,
you
no, it's the
you have
friendly
those.
thing.
But you can just go and click on the ICS and it adds it immediately.
Go to.
It's super easy. He knows what I'm talking
Do
about.
we need a motion or is it a done deal, Vince? You're doing this.
Good.
On the calendar. Just hold me to my promise.
Just-
Okay, I said that.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm on
Oh,
television.
we're good. Yeah.
We're gonna do a calendar.
He can put big flashing lights around it on the web.
There we go.
So was there a motion?
There was a motion. Yeah,
You need a motion to go
For the
down.
calendar, we have to.
calendar, yeah.
So I move to approve the 2024-25 district calendar as presented,
I'll second that.
I think there's two. Do we have to do two motions?
one at a time.
Just-
Or can we do this?
I thought there
Thanks,
was,
one.
oh,
No, I think just one motion for this 1 year count.
well, there's. two more.
There's
Board approved dates.
Oh,
because
no, I don't think we
Right here,
have to,
see.
I think we, oh, wait a second.
I think because you said the.
Oh,
the
okay,
extra
yeah,
day.
okay.
Yeah,
You
so
can
we have
add
to
that.
do- we have to do both, or can I?
Just add it, yeah.
And the board selected holidays as presented.
I second. Oh.
Okay,
What am I approving?
Well, what we were just talking about,
Holidays as presented.
that was the extra day because of leap year.
Yeah, the 260-day employees have specific days that are not a part of the contract year for 11 and 10-month employees. So, so to make it be 260, you've got to pull a couple out and call them holidays. Those, by the way, are typically it's
Michelle, did you get that name?
the Friday before,
Eighth and second.
Friday
Second.
before Christmas or the
Oh,
Tuesday,
second.
I think it's a Tuesday after
Julie.
Christmas, sometimes it's one of those.
I
They kind of
motion.
plug in at a spot that's where nobody else is on.
Just in case.
I thought I heard Julie, so.
okay, there's a motion and a second, and it is, I move to approve the 2024-25 district calendar as presented and to approve the 2024-25 board selected holidays as presented. Any further discussion? Okay. All right. All in favor, the vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
7-0. Okay, item 14. Appoint budget committee members. Is this me? I think this is me.
Thank you.
Me?
I will say this, we put out the application. We received 0 application. And so Michelle and I started talking about it, and we do what most districts have to do, and that's just recruit. And so, so in the process of thinking about who might be great people to do it, we also understand that the law says that a significant other or a spouse can serve on the school board and can serve on budget committee. And so knowing what we know about the 3 people that we selected that might make them great to be on our budget committee, we reached out to them. They all agreed to do so. Thank you. Yeah. One of them is here tonight. And so, so we reached out to them. They said yes. They sent us a request to be on it. And so I recommend that you say yes to each of them.
And the current ones did not want to rejoin. We did ask those.
Yes. We did try to ask those who have done the meeting in the past to continue to serve, and they declined. And so we're searching for our 3.
Good.
How many people are, other than the board themselves, are on the budget committee? Or just the 3, or there are more?
No, there's, the budget committee bylaw has to be equal to the number of board members that we
So
have.
7, okay. All right.
So just to summarize, the district received 3 letters of interest for the positions from Chris Cahill. Thank you, Dana. Jeff Bridgens and Jeffrey Lang. And thank you, Mr. Lang, for being here this evening and for your future service. Those letters can be found in the board packet. These 3 positions, the term expired June 30th, 2023. And the action requested is approve 3-year appointments for the 3 candidates for zones 1, 2, and 6. Position 1 would be Chris Cahill, position 2, Jeff Bridgens, and position 6, Jeffrey Lang. Is there a motion?
I move to appoint the following for the North Bend School District Budget Committee positions 1, 2, and 6 on the budget committee for 3-year terms ending June 30th, 2026.
I second that.
Okay, there is a motion and a second. And the motion is I move to appoint the following for the North Bend School District Budget Committee positions 1, 2, and 6 on the budget committee at 3-year terms ending June 30th, 2026. Any further discussion? Okay, the vote, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Lang.
You're welcome.
Okay, agenda item 15, early literacy grant action item, Dana Cahill.
Best for last. Good evening. Thank you for having me. I am thrilled to speak to you about this tonight. It's a passion of mine. In August of 23, our Governor Kotek and the Oregon legislator put $90 million into support early literacy, and it's one of the top priorities in the state right now as far as education goes. And we have a new pot of money available to us called the Early Literacy Success Grant. That Early Literacy Success Grant, it is a non-competitive grant. And it's a biennium grant, meaning that 2-year cycles. And so for the first year, once we receive that money, it's just over 162,000 that for this current school year, and then just over 169,000 for next school year. This application came on pretty quickly from the state. It opened up on December 1st and it closes January 8th. And we are in a good position. We've gotten the application in, and we had done a lot of work as to how we would want to use this money. And really spending a lot of time working with people at the state level, working with, educators in our district and spending a lot of time. One thing that became very evident as we started talking to more people at the state level was that the intention of this money is sort of long-term. And some of the intentions are first, professional development. So professional development, coaching, and one thing that is laden through this document that you'll hear a lot about is research-aligned literacy strategies. And you'll also hear a lot about the science of reading. And so that is one of the intentions of the money, is to bring in professional development to make sure that teachers feel very prepared with teaching those early literacy skills and making sure that the strategies that we're implementing in the classroom are research aligned and research based. Another interest of the monies for the early literacy grant was extended learning opportunities. So that could be like an extended day, or it could be summer school offerings. That is something that right now we don't have that in our plan, but do know that that is our intention, is to make sure that we're hitting all of these areas in time. Right now, when we got this application in, it became very evident just that to make sure to get the application in, and then we could start, sort of finalizing some more of these plans. High dosage tutoring is another area that these monies are meant to explore. And what that is integrating reading and writing, making sure it's delivered by qualified tutors, qualified educators, and sort of small group, more of that intense tutoring support for students that need, very specific skills. Adoption of curricula, and then lastly, literacy specialist, coach, or interventionist to support all of the above. When we wrote the plan, what we have are intended for our money right now is a 1.0 FTE as an early literacy specialist that would provide the coaching, the professional development, and early literacy support. So we do have 2 elementary schools. This would support one person, and we do see that person primarily, we see them based on the data that we see, knowing that we have one school that needs more academic support, that we envision this person spending more of their time at that school. However, we don't intend on this person being located only at one school. We still, of course, would like them to be working across both schools, because both locations have places to be, taking things from. So that is the intention. We have got it submitted. And what I'm looking for tonight is approval of that plan. But I am here and happy to answer any questions that you may have about the application, about the grant, or otherwise.
So you'll reapply in 2 years? Is it? We can do it.
Michelle, what an excellent question. Yes, I'm so glad you brought that up. We will. And it will actually, at that time, right now, it was its own separate application, but in 2 years' time, it will be wrapped up in our integrated guidance. And so that it will be wrapped up in that process, which I think will make it a little bit less cumbersome. That's my hope, at least.
If it's only a 2-year program and you're hiring a full-time employee, at the end of 2 years, you're not gonna have the money for that, but you're just saying.
It's wrapped up.
The intention is that it will continue.
Yes, thank you for the clarification. The intention is that this money will continue. It will live in our integrated guidance. It is money that is here to stay.
As long as the state funds it.
That's correct. Yes, I suppose I should say that. Yes, as it is.
Okay, sounds good.
So is there a hierarchy of how students how this money is applied to students, or is this on a first come, first served basis? Like, for helping literacy, like I see it says that for disparities across groups that have historically experienced academic disparities. So trying to understand the hierarchy of how it's applied.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And one thing that I did want to say about this is that this $90 million is actually divided into 4 different areas. And some of those areas are like early, like birth to 5. And that's not money necessarily that would go to our school district. There are some tribal grants that are involved in there for some early literacy, as far as like, tribal aspect, cultural relevance. And so these monies here that we are receiving, we will have the opportunity to decide, how we're going to be how we're going to be using this person. I envision this person supporting teachers, classroom teachers for core instruction quite a bit. There may be opportunity for this person to provide, small group instruction or maybe some one-on-one instruction. This person could be working with Title I teachers and educators to be helping prepare, helping plan materials. But this early literacy person will more be like a support and a coach for classroom teachers so that our core instruction, we can make sure our core instruction is as sound as possible.
It's really not like a Title I program there's a target group. Okay, and this isn't that kind of a program. So really the dollars are meant to impact each student. So it's not, oh, well, you're in this group, so you get that, you get activities that this group doesn't get. There's nothing like that built into this. Every grant now has, we're required to look at it through the equity lens. That's an OEE phrase that's been used now for a decade or so. And so when you look through it, you see those pieces and parts so that they make sure that the school districts reach every student. But it's not intended for groups. It's intended for each student to see the benefit of this so that all of our students have access to high quality research-based teaching strategies.
Thanks for the question.
Do you have a position person in mind, or are you gonna put out a call?
That person is like, it's like a Mary Poppins person, Julie,
Yes.
to answer your question.
That exact same person would fit the bill.
Yes, yes, that's, well, one thing that I will say, is that we do have so many incredibly talented and educated educators already at our elementaries. And so we may just find somebody out of our own ranks. We'll see.
Good.
Yes, we may, yes. Excellent. Any other questions at all?
Thank you, Dana.
Yes, thank you. Okay. I think that there's like,
Oh,
This is Dana's first chance in her new role to just take the lead on a major grant and to see that through with some support from a little mentoring from Bruce and so on and so forth. So Dana, I just want to share my appreciation that you have done this. You just took it on and making it happen. And so I just want to let you know this is her first time with it, so.
She's a tiny star.
Did she have a limited time frame to do this, to come up with this?
well, this
This
came on very quickly. It sure did. Yes, it had districts across the state in a frenzy trying to wrap our heads around what exactly the intention of this money was. And yes.
Jumping through the
The
hoops.
state constantly does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could put my running shoes on.
We went to that part where we.
And you did well. Thanks.
Excellent, thank you. I do think that I need a motion.
Yes.
Yeah, we-
Oh, okay, okay. Oh, I thought, okay, all right.
Who's got it?
Okay, I'll do my part.
Thrilled about this.
Go for it.
I move to approve the early literacy grant application for the 2023-2025 biennium.
I second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second, and the motion is I move to approve the early literacy grant application for the 2023 to 2025 biennium. Any further discussion? Okay, ready to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. 7-0. You did good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I just want to say that it really truly has been such a pleasure to get to know each and every one of you, not only in my role, but I do want you to know that aside from my role, I'm proud that you're our board because my kids are in our district. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, agenda item 16, board comments. I got some, only 3 pages. Okay, I would like to recognize a North Bend citizen. David Gould passed away on January 1st, 2024. David was born December 16th, 1942. He had just celebrated his 81st birthday. David graduated North Bend High School in 1961. He was inducted into the North Bend Hall of Fame and the Oregon State Hall of Fame. He was a member of both the Liberty Bowl and 1965 Rose Bowl teams. He's survived by his wife, Donna Gould. Dave's family owns the Elkhorn Homestead / Ranch. And the way I got to know David was he had a passion for the Elliott State Forest and advocated for school children through his active support of Oregon Advocates for School Trust Lands. He was a historical figure in the town and he will be missed by many. Okay, item 17, information only, district financial info. December 2023 enrollment numbers, work session 2 weeks from tonight, January 18th. Next regular meeting, February 1st, 2024. Agenda item 18. We're going to adjourn this thing, call it a night. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.